Hey, welcome back to the Leadership Sandbox. Today we're diving into a powerful and yet overlooked skill. I call it reframing problems. As leaders, we face challenges every day, some expected, some completely out of left field. But what I know to be true is that the way that we frame those challenges has everything to do with the perception, and that's a mindset issue. So reframing isn't just a buzzword. It's a game changer for your productivity, for your team, and for you as a leader. So thanks for joining me in the sandbox today. And as you kick off your shoes and you get ready to step in, I want you to grab your pen and paper. I want you to write down 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2, 3. You know the drill. Because I know that you're going to walk away from today's conversation with 3 tips, tools, or strategies that you're going to want to implement in your life, in your leadership, and with your team immediately. Let's get to it. I'll see you in the sandbox. All right, welcome back into the sandbox. Excited for this conversation today because I want to do some perspective shifting right out of the gate. I want to get into the why behind reframing problems. Why is that important? And we're going to get to the crux of the matter with why reframing problems is essential for your success. And there's one thing that it all comes down to, and you've heard me talk about it before. It all comes down to mindset. It all comes down to the way we perceive the problem before us, and it's a mindset issue, right? It's a mindset opportunity. And one of the things that we want to make certain that we do is get right into expanding our perspective. And how do you do that? If number one out of the gate for shifting our mindset is expanding our perspective on this problem and this reframing of the problem, here's how we do it. Listen, when we encounter a problem, our first instinct might be, and usually is, to view it as an obstacle, right? It's something blocking our path to success. But this can be a very narrow perspective, right? It's one where we have blinders on. We're not looking outside of the obstacle or the perception of the obstacle that's in front of us. And by reframing that, by reframing the problem, we can shift what's wrong into what's possible. And I'm going to tell you a fun little story about this because it kind of helps us to uncover some of the way that our we're so visual and we lock onto the problem, we lock onto the obstacle and we collide right with it. So if you've ever taught a kid, a young person, how to ride a bicycle, you might have encountered something like this. When you say to Johnny, who's going on a bike path and there's a big rock in the path, a big boulder in the path, hey, Johnny, watch out for the rock. Watch out for the rock. Johnny, watch out for the rock. What does Johnny do 9 times out of 10? Runs right into the rock. Why? Because we pointed to the problem and we continuously said to him, here's the problem, Johnny. You're going to run into that. You got a rock in front of you. You got a rock. What's Johnny looking at? He's going like this on his bike, right? And he's getting all wobbly and he's so focused on the rock. Don't hit the rock. Don't hit the rock. Pow, he hits the rock. Instead, shifting that perspective, right? Shifting the environment, reframing, the rock is still in the path. The obstacle is still in your path, but reframing it to say, hey, Johnny, go to the left, stay to the left, bud, stay to the left. I'm not calling attention to the obstacle. Why? I've created an opportunity and a path around it. Now that's moving around an obstacle. Okay. We want to reframe it so our mindset shifts from focusing in on to reframing what the opportunities on the outside of it are. And you can do this and expand that possibility thinking into your workplace. Expand the viewpoint of enabling us to see the immediate, but see around it. Here's the challenge. Yes. And I'm going to identify a solution. I got to look to the left and to the right to see what's possible there. That's reframing it as not a rock and an obstacle in my path. It's an opportunity to look to the left, to the right to see what else is out there. Because at the first glance, we might see a problem. But when we look to the left, we have a path around it. And Johnny will win every time on the bike. So the next time you're training a kid how to ride a bike, don't have them focus on the rock in their path. Have them focus on the path around it. The second thing that we want to do as we are reframing these problems is we want to start to build this resilience. The problems come our way, right? Life throws us curveballs. There is no denying that. But reframing helps cultivate resilience in ourselves and our teams. And when we change the narrative from one of I'm defeated, right? I hit the rock every time, right? We reframe that to empower ourselves to look at it different, that it's just like me to tackle things head on. It's just like me to find paths around the obstacles. And I'm using my words to reframe it so that I'm adjusting my perspective. I'm understanding the challenge comes, right? So we're fostering that resilience. I'm understanding that the challenge comes, right? But I'm also reframing it of how do we make this work different? Where's the creativity in this for us? What's the opportunity? It shifts the problem into something different. And that resilience becomes beneficial for you, for the individuals around you, because it creates a ripple effect that we're not just stuck on the rock in our path. We're looking at the opportunity around it to move us forward. Here's the number 3 thing that I want to be doing when we're looking at reframing these problems. I want to look at how we can drive engagement and ownership. See, when leaders reframe problems as opportunities, it fosters that culture of engagement and ownership among team members. So instead of waiting for someone to swoop in and fix things, right? I was just talking with a leader in our community today about a challenge that they're having with a group that is their board that works with them. And this leader was like, I present things every month and I send out emails, which is the way that they've said that they want to be involved and they want to get that information of how they can help out when we run into challenges. And they're just not responsive. And my question was, well, how are they engaged? What's their level of like, what will engage them more? How are we working to engage them? And as we got through and kind of did some problem solving, right, through discovery conversation, which is really a great way to drive that, I actually gave this individual some questions to ask so they could drive engagement with the very people that they need more engagement from. Sometimes powerful questions will just be that way because, listen, when our people feel empowered to contribute their ideas, not just because I need you to do something, but hey, could you give me feedback in your idea on how we solve for this? Right? It actually creates and fosters connection and collaboration in a whole new way. And it causes them to take ownership because they were part of coming up with the idea, the solution, the opportunity. So I want to encourage you with that. So the other part that I want you to focus on, number 4, is encouraging continuous improvement. Right? If we're always looking at problems as obstacles instead of reframing them, when we reframe as it's an opportunity for improvement, we're encouraging and fostering that continuous growth. It's an expectation that we set. Reframing isn't just about solving immediate problems, it's about laying the groundwork for continuous improvement. And when we view setbacks as learning opportunities, we open the door to growth. It's true. And the mindset shifts encourage experimentation and innovation. When we shift the mindset from, hey, Johnny, let's not focus on the boulder. We're going to focus on the path around it. So I'm going to use my words to say, Johnny, stay to the left, stay to the left. He's now not seeing boulder. He's seeing path around it. And that encourages that the next time, that continuous improvement. And it shifts the thinking of your team member into finding new ways around, not because, and I want to say this is really important. We might be faced with a problem that we really, truly do need to address as a problem. And I'm not suggesting that we look for creative ways around it. But I am suggesting for the team, I am suggesting for you, get to your solution and then come back to the problem that it was, that what caused the root cause of the problem and address it at a root level. You can go around it to say, okay, here's our solution. And then I'm going to go back and address at a root level so that doesn't happen again. It's another way to encourage people that we are looking at continuous ways to grow while we're fixing and solving problems. And you, as the leader, are guiding them toward that versus being stuck on every failure or the idea that if we don't do this, we're going to fail. So continuous improvement really enhances the whole team. So I want to get into some practical solutions for reframing problems because now that we understand the why, right? Why we want to reframe problems, we want to dive into now the how, right? How we effectively reframe problems in our leadership practices. The first way that we do that is by asking powerful questions. I love a good, powerful question. You want to challenge your team to think differently by asking open ended questions. And the leader that I was sharing with you about that's challenged with the board, I gave them an opportunity through some questions to see what questions they could ask to get more out of, to get that more engagement that they're looking for, right? You want to explore instead of saying, why did this happen? Why'd you hit the rock? Why'd you run into the boulder, Johnny? You want to say, what can we learn from that experience? What did we learn from running into that boulder? Right? Questions like that are going to shift the focus from blame to discovery and ignite creativity and engagement. I also want you to do this. I want you to encourage perspective taking. What's that mean, Tam? When we create opportunities for team members to share their viewpoints, we hold brainstorming sessions. We hold, get on the flip charts on whiteboards and we map out whatever problems and that we're tackling, but we want people to voice their ideas. The viewpoints that we get, that diversity of viewpoint that we get, that diversity of input enriches the conversation for everybody. It isn't just one single way, one single path that it has to be that way. So by asking more questions, it gets more engagement from others. It shows different viewpoints, different angles. It promotes more comprehensive understanding of any given situation because we're using time efficiently and effectively to talk about and share those perspectives. And then we want to go into, offer some visual tools if you need to. What's that mean? Well, if you have a problem before you and it's a consistency of a problem, sometimes a visual can help shift perspectives. Sometimes, and I'm going to go back to my friend with the board, I said to them, maybe we want to write out the pain points that are being experienced by the board not being engaged. And when we map that out and we put that out in a visual or create a storyboard around that, we can show what happens when and how it impacts us and what we're losing as a result. Because I believe that when people see that in full color, it will shift the perspective of, oh, I don't want that to happen. I didn't realize I was helping to cause that or create that. It reframes the problem into how they can be part of the solution, and it creates a possibility for them. And on this journey, I want to make sure that you are celebrating small wins. And why is that important when it comes to reframing problems, right? Well, when we were talking about the why reframing problems, that we want to use it as an opportunity to expand our perspective, and we know that by reframing problems it fosters resilience, and we know that it drives engagement and ownership, and it encourages continuous improvement. But here's the other piece of it: when we're celebrating small wins, all wins, right? Start your meetings with celebrating a win in the midst of challenges. What do you suppose that does to your team? What do you suppose that does to even yourself internally, right? It is essential to acknowledge progress, no matter how small it is. Why? Because celebrating those incremental successes and reinforcing the idea that progress is a journey does all of the things that we talked about with the building resilience and helping people to feel collaborative and part of the solution. And by doing that, you instill that momentum and positivity within your team, and it encourages that further exploration and experimentation, which is really what you're wanting. When I go in and talk with teams about, and I hear from leaders about how frustrated they are, how overwhelmed or tired and fatigued they are, I start talking about, well, have we celebrated wins lately? But more importantly, have you brought back through powerful questions and inquiry with your team that experimentation approach? Have you done that yet? Well, no, I haven't. Why? Because all you're focused on is the boulder in your path instead of being focused on what else? What else can we bring in here? What are we celebrating? Helps us to reframe, which is really what we're wanting. So I want you to also do this. This is important for you as leader. And that's to model reframing behavior. What does that mean? Well, as leader, your actions speak louder than words. When you are focused on the boulder in the path only, and you're faced with challenges, what's important about that to get out of it quickly, most importantly. So you're not only focused on the boulder, but when you are faced with those challenges, when you share your thought process, when you share that this is the cost of what what we're going through with this is what this is costing me as the leader, you're reframing, you're demonstrating how you're reframing it. Because when you can model the very change that you want for your team to have, right? That you want for your family to have. I ran into this with our teenager just the other week. I wasn't modeling behavior for him in my frustration about he would forget his head if it wasn't attached to his shoulders because he loses things all the time, bless his heart. Um, he, he's so social. He gets to talking with people. I can't imagine where he gets social from, but he gets to talking to people. And I realize I'm like, oh, I got to reframe my behavior because I'm not modeling in my frustration what I want from him. And what am I doing? I'm calling attention to the boulder in the path. Watch out for the boulder. Watch out for the boulder. Watch out for the boulder. And boom, smacked right into it. Right. That's essentially what I did. So you can have this with family too. Our actions speak louder than our words. And so, modeling the behavior that you want, modeling the reframing, that transparency not only builds trust with your team, but it equips your team with the tools to adopt a reframing mindset themselves, which is ultimately what you want. Teams that are focused on how they reframe problems into possibility and opportunities actually are higher performing teams, exponentially higher performing teams. They're not dwelling on what isn't, they're focused on what is, what's possible, what's next. All right. But that comes from you to give permission and to model that behavior for them so that they have. And then your team is the they in this, right? When you model that, when you demonstrate that, and you're reframing that problem and you're envisioning the potential outcome for them. You're empowering them with that creativity, which is so important. So here's the bottom line, friends. Reframing problems is not just about a strategy, right? It's a mindset shift. It's looking at the boulder in your path and reframing the path around it, reframing how you approach it, reframing how you speak to it. Words are powerful. Choose them and use them wisely. They are seeds that you plant. So if I'm always planting seeds of why did you, why didn't you, no wonder my teenager is still walking around forgetting things left, right, and center because I am reaffirming that he forgets everything. So my reframing problem, that I'm having, or I should say it this way, my reframing of the problem is important to give him a new strategy to change the behavior. And the same thing goes in the workplace. The same thing goes with you. It even works with your spouses, right? Like this reframing, it's not just a strategy. It's that mindset shift that I can look at a problem and I can change it into something different. And I'm going to expand my perspective. I'm going to foster that resilience. I'm going to drive that engagement. I'm going to promote continuous improvement. And all those things are part of what sets the stage for your team to also be able to move through and reframe those problems quickly and swiftly. So, as we bring this for a close here, here's what I want you to remember. The next time that you encounter a problem, I want you to ask yourself, what is a reframe? How can I reframe this? What does reframing this look like? If not this, then what? Right? When you're approaching that boulder in your path, reframe, oh my gosh, there's a boulder, to what's the strategy? Where's the path to the left or the right? You can come back to understand why the boulder got there, but reframe the path around it before you try to come back. And that comes with the questions. Where's my path? Left or right? What am I doing? Going over it, going under it, going through it? How am I going to get there? And who are my resources to do that? And by embracing this practice of reframing and asking yourself some really powerful questions in that, you're going to not only transform your challenges into opportunities, but you're also going to become more effective in your leadership. You're going to become more impactful in the way that you inspire and motivate your team, the way that you engage your team in what's possible. Because if they're always focused on the problem and they're not looking at the opportunity of it, they're not looking at the possibility of how to work with it, grow from it, and move around it. When they do that, you have a much more powerful team. So I want to encourage you, friend, as you look back over your notes here, what are the 3 things? Go back to the 3 things that you grasped, that you want to take from today's episode around reframing your problems and the keys to the success to do that. It's not hard. It's reframing, and it starts with how I see the problem to begin with. Reframe the mindset, shift the perspective. Problems turn into possibilities, and you have a winning team. You have a winning opportunity on your hand. I'll see you the next time. Hey, friend, I want to thank you for joining me in the sandbox today. Leadership is not something that you're born with. It's something that you grow into. And I acknowledge and celebrate the time that you're investing in yourself to grow into your next level of leadership. And if you would take the time to like and share this episode, head on over to LinkedIn, share it there, tag me in it so I know, so I can celebrate with you that you took the time to grow into your next level of leadership. And I want to encourage you that when it comes to shifting your mindset, and you're going into the next week and you're looking at the problems that are before you, reframe it into what possibility, what opportunity can come from that. Where's the learning opportunity in that? Where's the opportunity for me to engage others in the solution for that problem? You're not alone in this leadership journey. You've got people to your left and to your right that you can reach out to ask for support, to ask for help, because that's what takes leaders to that next level of opportunity, when we ask for help and we reframe our mindset to possibility thinking. I'll see you the next time.